Okay, we are now going to be discussing Avon's SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis is very essential for many companies like Avon because it ultimately provides companies with analytics of how they're going to be doing their daily, day-to-day operations. The SWOT analysis entails strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. All four are essential when it comes to coming up with these. Now, for the most important opportunities of Avon, they need room to grow. That's definitely the most essential. So with room to grow, they could definitely achieve this by increasing the use of their technology. With that, sales distribution and the makeup of the way they use their technology will ultimately lead to that room to grow part of getting that new revenue that the company hasn't attained before but can. Currently, the North American unit is suffering the most out of all of its units in the world, and thus that's where there's the most areas to properly change and grow for the company. So with room to grow, that technology aspect discussed, there are different demographics that the company can tap into. Those untapped areas where revenue can be made, so the company doesn't have to advertise as much. So basically, if there are areas where the company hasn't been, they could tap into those areas and not waste their time advertising out to those areas. They could simply go out there, introduce their representatives and their products out to customers. The need to adapt in order to become successful and raise a negative growth for the past 3 years is essential for the company as well. This has been its major pitfall, and with this change, the company can ultimately get out of that negative net income and become more successful through the years and hopefully become a better company. Not that it hasn't. Most important threats for Avon. So for Avon, it has to deal with emerging cosmetic companies. So these are companies that start coming up, such as organic makeup companies that make up substitutes as discussed. So basically, Avon is going to have to deal with companies that are new and they're a different niche. So Avon is in a unique niche, which is direct selling, but it's now going to have to be competing with newer unique niches, such as the organic makeup companies. So there are also going to be more green regulations and rules with cosmetics. Since it's 2016, there are new regulations coming out actually every year since the company came out. For instance, there are products for cosmetics like as microbeads. People use them for acne. Those are ruining nature when they're disposed of. There are a lot of negative reviews, and Environmental Protection Agency is putting new cosmetic regulations because nature is being interfered with, such as plastics in the ocean, animals swallowing them and eating them. Same with cosmetics. The byproduct, the waste, ends up hurting nature in many ways. Change of demographics is another threat because with change of demographics, there are also a change of taboos. There's also a change of trends, and with these trends, the company also has to adapt and move on and change. Also, the change of the world's trend and or pace has definitely changed more since the 50s. So the company is going to have to deal with adapting and evolving, as it's done poorly, but it has time to do this. So for the most important strengths of the company, the buyout from Cerberus, where there are basically more assets at hand now, there's a broader spectrum in their market, and these untapped opportunities are definitely a significant strength. Vertical integration, this is a big one. This leads the company to have the ability to change their operations anytime and adapt. With Hewlett-Packard and the Oracle software participation of the company, there are more untapped areas that the company could go into, which is the online technology aspect. So there's also a unique niche market, which is direct selling. This is another significant strength, and it has been the strength of the company since it came out and has been developed. Strong brand names, people know what they are and what they sell. Unique business model as a result that may don't have. So for instance, this leads to strong competitive advantage when there's a strong brand name and people know the strong brand. For instance, Mercedes, or let's say Lamborghini or Bugatti. They don't have to advertise their products because people know that they're unique by the word of mouth. As a result, Avon has been out there for many years and has been successful. So people know this and they don't have to worry about advertising. So Avon knows that it's out there and people know about it. For the most important weaknesses of Avon, there are a good amount, and that's leading to its pitfall. So the poor use and implementation of technology is one of those important weaknesses. So with the implementation of technology, Avon hasn't been on par, and it only put more effort into its representatives. Too much focus on the representatives ultimately leads to them not looking into other areas like R&D. Research and development could definitely increase their profits, where they could tap into untapped areas of the market where they can make profits, but they're not doing that. Negative net income for the past 3 years, once again, is their biggest pitfall, and they have to change that to adapt and fully become successful. Failure to integrate and adapt as other businesses have. So this could be from technology to production, operation management, to different design product schemes, to maybe coming out with a new competitive advantage. The company has failed in this as well. It hasn't been changing its ways mostly, and that's why it's falling down. If it learns to adapt and evolve, on the other hand, it could become more successful and finally get out of that negative growth income area. And the declining North American operations unit of Avon is another big key component to why the company is failing. This is where usually most sales are made in North America, but unfortunately that hasn't been the case over the years. Okay, we're now going to be moving on to SO strategies. So this basically deals with things that help the company get up there. So to pursue opportunities that are a good fit for the company's strengths, basically there are Hewlett-Packard, as well as the Oracle and Cerberus acquisition and the buyout. So this will ultimately present opportunity for Avon to greatly improve its technological entities. So with these three major technologically advanced and inclined companies, Avon can tap into markets that it hasn't been in before. Avon will work with these corporations to basically modify its mobile app platforms. These are significant since most people prefer these nowadays. There's also going to be opportunity to use websites and implement on those, since older aged individuals tend to like using websites online as compared to app platforms. And there are also any other technological presence areas which the company could add on to, such as TVs, projector implementation, to pursuing this. Avon aims to increase its profits in North America unit, obviously, because that's a major pitfall of the units it has globally. And this has suffered the most in recent years, so this is where the most money can be made since it has a chance to make it there. Following this are ST strategies. So this basically identifies ways that the firm can use its strengths to reduce its vulnerability to external threats. So a strength is ultimately the buyout from Cerberus and Oracle presence, as well as Hewlett-Packard. The threat, on the other hand, is the consumer's demand for higher quality products, which unfortunately Avon has been in the medium range market area. So with the strategy in mind, Avon has to start using the investment from Cerberus and HP to enhance the quality of their most competitive products so that they stay competitive with higher companies like Mary Kay, for instance, that's also in a similar niche market. And many other companies are starting to be up and coming, such as the organic companies for cosmetics that are also going to be a unique niche, just like Avon. So for WO strategies, it definitely deals with research and development. Avon's going to have to overcome the weaknesses to pursue their opportunities. So a weakness for Avon is the failure to be innovative with business model, which is pretty much the lack of their adaptation and innovation, as well as involvement to evolve, to move on. And the small spendings and time put into research and development, that's definitely key. So for the strategy, Avon is going to have to focus on developing means to make mobile sales, e-commerce intuitive, yet easy to use. Spending more money on implementation of new production operations and management systems of all their products will definitely lead to having a better strategy and ultimately getting that revenue that was untapped and that is definitely earnable still. Research and implementation for different units, such as Asia and North America, is different because there are different certain demographics, such as age, gender, groups, trends. So the company is going to have to adapt with different demographics and different units where it operates. For WT strategies, there's got to be a good involvement of commerce and action plans, like in a football team where they're properly planning out their defenses and offenses. A defense plan has to be made to prevent the firm's weaknesses from making it highly susceptible to external threats. So weaknesses, there's pretty much too much emphasis placed on representatives, not fully utilizing all generations. So there's a lack of attention to certain generations like Generation X, which are the younger generations. As the newer generations move forward, the older ones also move forward. So there has to be an adaptation where the company reaches out to newer generations moving forward that will possibly be interested in Avon products. For the strategy, there has to be a sales approach that is done without having to be face-to-face with customers. So it has to be more online-based. The company, unfortunately, deals with mostly face-to-face, and that's where it lacks also. So people have to be reached out, like couch potatoes who'd rather click than see people in person. Unfortunately, that's the way our generation is nowadays, so Avon could make a lot of money from working on this effort. The company, unfortunately, will die in approximately the next 30 years, according to many experts, if it doesn't advertise and reach out to new generations that should be interested in it.